Prepare to get gas because it's time for the Week in Gear. This week, Reverend brings endless sustain, Nobels bend time and space, and great Scott! We might have just hit 88 miles per hour with a guitar that I've been dreaming of for years. Heavy. Okay, let's kick off this week's most exciting gear releases with an Orange King. If your tone's been feeling a little flat lately, like your riffs are good but you're missing that studio polish, Orange has just dropped something that might be the crown jewel of your pedal board. Introducing the King Compressor, a Class A VCA design that gives you ultra clean dynamic control with volume, compression, attack and release knobs all running at 18 volts for massive headroom. And no, don't adjust your viewing device, the pedal really is black, grey and white. An interesting design choice that I mistakenly thought was a mistake. It's not. This compressor is not just about squashing dynamics, it's about shaping and moulding them. This is one of those studio style compressors in a pedal format. And for me, I was never really into compressors until a few years ago. And then my favourites were, well, the first one I ever connected with was the Donner Yellow Comp, very affordable, very good, very clean, and the J-Rocket Airchild. Both of those actually changed the way that I play. I think for the better. I fully understand if you don't think a compressor is all that sexy or interesting, but once you find a compressor you like, it is hard to turn it off. This orange one is coming in at around 179 notes, which definitely doesn't put it on the no-brainer list, but does make me hope that it's built well and is as low noise as it claims to be. Interesting thing, it runs at 18 volts only, which gives you the extra headroom, but means that if your power supply doesn't supply 18 volts, then this pedal is going to be no good to you, unless you have one of those Y connectors. The gasometer squeezes its way up to add to cart. Definitely something to try if you are compressor curious or just want your tone to feel a little more expensive. Links, as always, are below. All right, time for a guitar from Reverend. This is the Reverend Reeves Gabrels RG Sus Mark II, the latest signature model from the man who's played with David Bowie and The Cure. Now, this isn't just another signature guitar with a fancy finish. It's got more than that. It is a Carina body, a roasted maple neck, and an ebony fingerboard. But the real magic, and I mean sci-fi movie magic, lives in the Sustainiac driver pickup sitting in the neck. This system gives you that infinite sustain on demand, and you've got a little mini toggle to switch it on and another to flip between 3 modes, which is fundamental, harmonic, and mix. So you can hold a pure note forever, or push it into singing feedback and overtones that seem to sort of float above you and the guitar and the amp. It's one of those features that you don't know you need until you play it, and then you'll wonder how you ever lived without it. I've had 2 guitars with it in, and it's really fun. The pickup setup is classic Reeves Gabrels Chaos Control, Railhammer Reeves Gabrels Signature Bridge pickup, and a Railhammer S-Rail middle humbucker in the middle. And then, of course, in the neck, you've got the Sustainiac neck driver, which is doing the heavy lifting for the infinite sustain. All of that is wired through a 5-way selector and a bass contour knob, which is Reverend's secret sauce that lets you tighten or fatten your tone without losing clarity. Hardware-wise, it is a proper player's build with a Wilkinson WV-S52K tremolo, that's a long name, and it's got an uproot cavity. On the headstock you'll find the Reverend Pinlock tuners and a 43mm bone-ite nut, which should keep that tuning rock solid. A feature that should be on every guitar, and this one has it because Reverend actually expects you to play this thing hard. It's the dual action truss rod. Put that all together and the result is the kind of instrument that practically dares you to experiment. Part rock machine and part sonic laboratory. Now, I'm a big fan of Reverend guitars, as the quality is usually very high and the price is usually very fair. But this one was a little more expensive than what I would hope, coming in at just under 2,000 notes. Even though I dig this a lot, the price does reduce its desirability for me, and that's why the gasometer doesn't really get past wishlist for me. Of course, if I were to play it, or if you were to play it, and either one of us were to fall in love with it, then we'd have a totally different story. But for me, there are more affordable, more desirable Reverend guitars available. Now, there's no sponsor this week, so we're sponsored by the subscribe button and the thumbs up button and the comment section. So if you fancy doing any one of those things, if you haven't already, thank you very much for doing it. Victor and I appreciate it very much. Right, mini box, massive vibe. The MOD-mini is the newest pocket-sized modulation pedal from Nobels, and it's doing that very clever thing that Nobels has been nailing lately, which is shrinking good sound into tiny little boxes without cutting corners, and adding features that other companies don't. This little unit gives you 3 modulation classics right at your toes. There's tremolo, phaser, and U-vibe, which I believe is Uni-vibe. Uni-vibe, Ini-vibe, We-Orni-vibe. Oh god. My favourite feature of these Noble mini pedals is that there's a tap tempo function hidden in that one foot switch. You just got to hold it down for 2 seconds and then tap your rate, which gives you tap tempo, and this will give you the rate on the modulations. And on the MOD-mini, it lets you sync your modulation speed to your groove. Connectivity is seriously impressive for something this small. You've got mono or stereo input and output via TRS, plus you also get a true bypass or buffered bypass toggle switch, which is something even big pedals skip. Some other neat touches: glow-in-the-dark pointer knob, so you can actually see your settings live on a dark stage. It's got those integrated Mountie P plates on the underside, which are those folding little tabs that make the pedalboard mounting stupidly easy. And it runs on 9 volts DC and draws under 120 milliamps, so any standard supply should do. At around 99 notes, I think Nobels are onto something special with this range. And if you want to add motion, color, and a touch of nostalgia and Hendrix maybe to your board without losing any space, the Nobels MOD-mini is your ticket. Small box, big vibe. Gasometer? Buy it now, but beware. You may need to have the other mini Nobels pedals too. There's the overdrive mini, there's the chorus, and the delay. The delay I have somewhere. It's over there. The delay very rarely leaves this studio or leaves my side. So, you know, it's great. It just does good stuff, and I hope the mod does the same. Coming in at number 2 this week is something new from Valeton. Valeton, they're the ones that make the GP-5, which is undoubtedly one of the best things to hit the guitar market this year. And, well, it just got some company, and it looks like they've gone full cinematic universe on us. This was announced at Music China 2025, which is kind of the NAMM of China, and Valeton revealed 3 new multi-effects processors: the GP50, the GP150, and the GP180, expanding their GP lineup into a full family of floor units and bridging the gap between the GP5 and the GP100 and the GP200 plus. Now, not a lot of information has been released yet, and in fact, at time of recording, there are no official photos or videos or even any official announcements. So I dipped into the gear pages on Facebook to bring you what I think could be another hit for Valeton. I think the GP50 might just be that sweet spot that the GP5 didn't quite reach, even though it is phenomenal. Now, because this hasn't actually been released yet, I don't have the full specs, and I can't guarantee that what I've read is correct. But here's a little bit of what we know so far. The GP50. This one looks like the natural true successor to the GP-5. It's got a similar overall footprint, a bit larger like a standard pedal, but with a larger color display, a refined interface, and more physical controls for faster editing. It also looks like it has a drum machine built into it. On the display, there's a little drum thing. There is a drum machine in the app for the GP5, but not on the pedal itself, as far as I've found. The next one, step up to the GP150 and you get more switches and an expression pedal, but still a small form factor. Then there's the GP180, which looks like a pretty serious piece of stage gear and looks expensive. Although you lose the onboard expression pedal, you do get switches to turn effects on and off without menu diving, and I'm almost certain there will be an input for an expression pedal on all of these. So to me, this 180 looks like a Boss GT1000 and an HX Stomp had an inexpensive little baby. If you've used the GP5, you'll know how surprisingly good the amp tones are for the price, and the fact that it does NAMM profiles, particularly the cleans and the British Crunch models are very, very good. And these new units seem to be poised to keep that tone engine intact whilst addressing two things the players have asked for most: a better user interface and more flexible signal chains. Now, Valetone's positioning these as the next step in their GP ecosystem, but pricing hasn't been announced yet. But expect them to remain squarely in the budget-friendly range that made the GP5 so successful. And they're not going to be as expensive as the GP200, I think. The thing is, the most attractive thing about the GP5 is the value for money and the small footprint needed and the fact that it runs off a power bank. So I hope that these new units retain that way of thinking and don't take anything away from us GP5 lovers. The gasometer is very clearly going all the way up to buy it now. I took the GP5 to Guitar Summit with me and I had a blast with it. I cannot wait to try the GP50. I think this is the one.
Andy's Pick of the Week.
Now, you know when you've hoped for something for so long that when it finally happens, you can't quite believe it's real. Like your brain's waiting for someone to say, "Nah, just kidding," but there it is, right in front of you, glowing under the lights, and suddenly you're 5 years old again and grinning like an idiot. Probably older than that for some of you. Anyway, I'm in the middle of that story right now because earlier this week I ordered the Epiphone Back to the Future ES-345, and before I get into that story, let's rewind. In the list of absolute iconic guitars, the Gibson ES-345 used in the Back to the Future movies has to be at least in the top 5. And after literal decades of whispers, Gibson has finally done it. They have released the Back to the Future ES-345, the cherry red semi-hollow that Martin McFly used to melt faces at the Enchantment Under the Sea dance in 1955. And Gibson being Gibson, they went all in, and the custom shop Back to the Future ES-345 is a $20,000 collector's edition with lots of, you can't even call it case candy, lots of extras, unbelievable extras. And the guitar itself seems to be built down to the last historically inaccurate screw, and hand-aged cherry nitro finish, and the gold hardware, and the split parallelograms, and the holes where there's no stop tail bar, and yeah, it looks great. It's basically a love letter to guitar history and movie nerdery. Sadly, due to the price and the limited numbers, most of us wanting one are still more likely to own a DeLorean. But here's where it gets interesting. Epiphone swooped in with their own officially licensed version and managed, I think, to capture that movie magic at a mortal human price. You've still got the cherry red, the gold trim, the block inlays, the double headstock inlays, the works. Why can't I say parallelogram? There we go. So, naturally, the Epiphone Back to the Future ES-345 is my pick of the week. Possibly the pick of my life. And I bought one. And I was actually driving home when a notification came up on my CarPlay that there were videos popping up on YouTube. And the gas and the FOMO was so intense that I found the nearest place to pull in, and I purchased it immediately, there and then. Even though Gibson did reach out to me about making a video for them about this release, and I did know it was coming. Gibson and I couldn't reach an agreement, so like for many players of my age, if it was not for Martin McFly, I would not be a guitar player, so I had to have this guitar. Funnily enough, the place that I pulled over to buy the guitar was a petrol station, which in America is called a gas station. That made me smile. And as I was there was a DeLorean parked getting fuel. Not really, but that would be cool. Everything was true apart from seeing the DeLorean, but it was in my mind. Let's talk specs. This Epiphone version has a laminated maple top, back and sides with a solid maple center block. There's a mahogany set neck, and when I pulled over and bought mine, the specs read as Slim 60s D, which was upsetting to me. But it actually comes with a rounded C profile, which has made me very happy. There's also a rosewood fingerboard and a Bigsby B70 vibrato, in gold of course, and it comes with a very cool vintage style hardshell case with Marvin Berry and the Starliners graphics. I love it. It's just a case, but you know. The only thing that Epiphones seem to have scrimped on is the pickups, which are Epiphone Alnico Classic Pro pickups. The Gibson version comes with unpotted custom Bucker Alnico 3s, and I hoped that Epiphone would also feature these pickups, like they've done on other Epiphone models. Oh, I got shiver then thinking about the Pro Bucker. But no, they didn't. They just put the Epiphone Alnico ones in. Now, the first run sold out faster than you can say 1.21 gigawatts. They've gone everywhere. But a second batch seems to be due in March 2026. So there's still hope for those of us that didn't have the lightning strike at 10:04 p.m. For me, this is the dream guitar. The one that made me want to pick up guitar for real. The one that made me stop and stare every time I watched that movie thinking, that is pure beauty. So, I can't afford the Gibson version, and the Epiphone version is a close second. I'm happy with my choice. It's coming in at around 1100 notes, which is not as expensive as I thought it would be, but it is still a lot of money for an Epiphone. It's where we are with Epiphones at the moment. And I've had the money put by for a while, up in a little, literally in a little tin. And this is a no-brainer purchase for me. Plus, it seems they're already being sold on Reverb for more than double the original price. Naughty scalpers. If you missed the first wave, don't panic. Keep your flux capacitors charged and set your clocks to March 2026. And maybe you'll get your hands on one too, because if this guitar doesn't make you believe in time travel, nothing will. God, I hope this guitar delivers. My expectations are extremely high. I'd have paid double to gasometer 1.21 gigawatts. Gasawatts, whatever Victor's written down there. My wallet is so on fire with this. It's on fire twice as I run to pick it up with this, the fire behind me. There's no way we've got the budget for that, but imagine those two fiery streams going across the screen. I will report back with a dedicated video. I can't believe how far I've regressed back to being a child and how much fun this guitar feels. It makes me feel all renewed and rejuvenated about guitars again. Not that I've lost it recently, but this feels like a real kick into turbo mode. Anyway, yes, I'll make a video as soon as it arrives. Subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss that. Okay, it is time for thanks. Thank you to these people who support the show on Patreon. And these people support the show right here on YouTube. Thank you as well. Thank you so much. And here's a special thanks to the top tier members. Alinta, Antonio Cruz Barreto, Buddha Blue, Boom Shakalaka, Buzzle, Dirk, Doug Paget, Jendrik Strelka, Johnny McBadminton, Kultur Matt, Andy's Pig of the Week, Oink, Mike Lute, Gary O'Neill, Holy moly, that's 8675309. Josh Tamberg, Man Dude Bro, PQ Deads, Robin Kelly, Sarang Narayan, and Southern Panda 33. Oh, how red did my face go then? My lungs almost exploded. Thank you, top tier members. It's great to have you, and welcome to the new members as well. Don't forget to comment your pick of the week, and I will see you down there in that comments section. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.